Welcome to Lockdown Workshop. Oh, this has been a while since I've done any shooting. I've been running on backlog for a while. Yeah, and it's been a bit busy at work and a hectic start to the new year, but I've still got this thing lying around, so I thought we'd just have a quick tear into it and see what went wrong with it. If you remember, we replaced it with a new one because we managed to get one cheap, but there was something wrong with this, so I'll bring you in and show you what was wrong with it. Right, so this is a Dior M, should be stamped on it somewhere. Should be written on it somewhere. It is an M6000 RD rear derailleur. M6000. Yep. So it's the next model on from the one I've got on my Planet X. It's a 10-speed GS long cage, grand cage derailleur, shadow. I think they call them shadow design. They're a fairly robust derailleur. It's the Dior version, but they'll do an SLX, XT version of that as well, and an XTR. They'll all look pretty similar, just the weight of the materials they've used. This one's got a problem though. This is the one that came off the e-bike, and essentially it worked, but it got a few issues. It wasn't changing smoothly, and at first I thought it was because the flywheels were excessively worn. There's quite a bit of play there, and it looked like the teeth were quite deep, but that actually, I've realised that that's actually quite normal for these when I went back and looked at mine as well. I don't do a lot of mountain bike stuff now, as much as I should, so, you know, it just looked odd to me. But it was in a bit of a state. I mean, it was absolutely minging. It was completely caked up. You couldn't see the teeth. It was full up there with rubbish. So it's had a couple of trips through the ultrasonic, which has cleaned it up no end. These are still a bit stiff, so it's kind of highlighted that there's a little bit too much play. That moves nicely, but this doesn't. So right, so the clutch is on. So this has got one of these clutches. So the idea of this is that when you want to take the wheel off, you put the clutch on, you take the clutch off, and the derailleur cage moves quite easy backwards and forwards to allow you to shrink. But when you put the clutch on, like it is there, the idea is that it stiffens up. And so when you go over a jump, the idea is that it's supposed to be difficult for it to go that way, but it springs back. Now what was happening was, it was going there and it wasn't springing back all the way. Now what's really weird about this is, now that I could live with, because in doing this we've actually got it so it's somewhere near it. It is going all the way back now, but what's weird is if you turn the clutch off altogether, it's almost impossible to move it. So I don't know whether that's a feature. It's certainly not like that on mine. So there doesn't appear to be any difference. If anything, it's actually harder to move when the clutch is off, and it's definitely off. So it's almost as if this is indexed one thing out of place. See, that's difficult, goes back, difficult, goes back. That's really difficult to move. Well, actually, it's getting better now. Oh no, we're on the good one there. Right. Yes, that's clutch on. It's easier to move that way than it is when it's there, and it's very difficult to move. I'm hurting my fingers trying to get it to move, and that's when the clutch is off. So it's almost as if it's one index out, but that feels right. Sorry, interruptions. So there's something not quite right with it. So what I thought was we'd strip it down and see if we can work out what's going on in there, because that's where the clutch bit is. So I will try and find some bits. It looks like they're all Torx bits, and no doubt bits are going to fly all over the place. But I think the best thing to do is get the cage off and see if we can get it just down to that last one. It might be that we have to take that out as well and let it slide all the way around, in which case we'll have to get that out of the way. I can't remember how easy these are to get out, and obviously there's still a bit of crap in there. But anyway, let's have a look at it, because it doesn't owe us anything. Right, yeah, we wanted that off first, didn't we? I think they're a fairly small one. And let's use these. I think it's this one. No, it's not that one. It's a 3mm. 3mm. So these are generally, these will have thread locker on. Loctite. Yeah, it is actually quite worn, that one. You can see this in a bit of a state. All right. Now, ideally, I'd want to get that off too, but I don't think we're gonna. Well, there is 2 spring holes in there, so you can usually set the spring tension, and you do that specifically for a particular type of bike. But normally you'd just leave that. It's very rare you would ever have to do that. Yeah, so the other end of that must be behind there. I didn't know if that cap came off, so looks like that's about as far as we can get it. You can see it's quite clean under the crap. So we're going to get this out. So this is a 0.9 Torx. At least that's the one that's fitting anyway. Fits nice and snug. Is it a 0.9? It says 0.9 on there, but I suspect that's not the right. Sorry, no, it's a T8. I'm looking at the wrong one. It's a T8 Torx, so it's fairly small. I've had to go to my precision set of screws. Fortunately, no, they're not particularly tight, so they're coming out quite nice and easy. Now I'm expecting bits to fly all over the place because there's quite a big spring behind here. Put them down there. Ah, so there you go. See, I've never actually looked in one of these before. So I'm guessing you can adjust the amount of torque on that. Is there a hole under there for that? No, so you've got to take the cap off to adjust the torque. So I'm wondering whether there's some crap under there. There's an Allen key behind there to get the main thing out. The spring's in that part, and this is the clutch mechanism. So I'm guessing that cams that round. See, that doesn't make sense. It's almost as if that's one part out of rotation. If that makes any sense. Right, so that's just done up tight. So it's not an adjuster that. I thought you might be able to adjust it, but just very aware this is just going to explode. See, what I'm wondering is whether or not this has just got knocked out of sync one. It's indexed off. Don't think we can get that off though without getting the rest of it out of the way. There's probably a, yeah, there's a little clip under there, so we've got to get all of this off. Now the problem is, I can see down there that there is a I think we need a bigger one than that. I wonder if it's the wrong, if it's a reverse. What's that? Is it a 4? Yeah, it is, it's a 4. Let's see if we can find the 4 in here. That's not the 4. That might be the 4. Yeah, that's the 4. Aha! I've got this funny feeling I'm going to lose my fingers any minute. I wonder if it's... So normally I'd take that out of it, and let's do that. Have we got a... Right, I'm just going to do this back up. I'm really not happy this isn't... Two things I don't want to happen. One, I don't want to smash my fingers. That's the usual evening suspected spam call from the people trying to convince me it's time to make claims on my car when I'm not legally allowed to. We'll just ignore that as we normally do. Right. So that's the trap mechanism. So if we pull that out of the way, we should be able to deload the spring. It does feel very crusty. And it could be just full of shit. Right, now we should be able to undo this now. Yes. So zero spring pressure is about in a line there, so we should be able to set it back up again, and before we let it drop out, it's in the middle of the 3 holes. Right, so that's off. Oh god, that looks crusty. Yeah, that looks well minging in there. Question is, how do I get this out now? That rubber seal in there, that doesn't appear to have been doing much good though. I wonder if we can ease it out. Yeah, right, yes, we've got that out now. That feels quite warm. Right, so that goes to the outside. So you can see how this works. That pinches down on that and puts the tension on, and then that rocks from one side to the other. Now I'm wondering whether that's ended up indexed one out and it's ended up the other way round, and that's what's causing the problem. There's a split pin there that we can get off. So that's what I was after, whether or not I could just drop that out and flip it round one. But let's have a look, see what this feels like. So that doesn't feel too bad, to be honest. Assuming there's a split pin somewhere for this. Right, I'm just going to put a little shot of oil inside there just to try and loosen that up a bit, because it seems like there's excessive drag. Yep. Oh, that's made a massive difference straight away. Ah, there we go. It does look quite heavily corroded. There's an O-ring there as well. That looks like it's seen better days. There's quite a lot of scarring there, but I don't know why that is. Right, we'll just put a spot of oil on that and feed it back in. That's it. Oh yeah, like butter. Right, there's not a lot we can do with that. To be honest, not that bothered about it. So part of that is what's hanging out of there. and what sits in one of these, which is that in the middle. Right, so how many places is there to put that? There isn't, there is only one place, so that's got to go there. Alright. Right, so I'm going to preload the tension on this now. So we're just going to take that back round there. Try not to lose any knuckles, because we know it's going to happen. Right, so we need to put that in there. This is where I find I've been spinning it the wrong way. Yep. Welcome to dyslexia. Oh, the springs come out. Right, we're going to have to do something about that. I've wound it the wrong way, and actually the spring's just unwound itself out of the hole, to be honest, so... I have to work out, I'm going to fix that now. Oh, fudge. It's not even in the right hole. How have I managed that? Right, shall we try again? Let's screw the bugger in first. That might help. Right, so which way is the hook pointing? So we want to go that way, which makes sense because it wants to pull it back down that way. So So just move the derailleur out of the way again. And so we've got to get it at least to there. Of course, you should always use the squishy part of your stomach to hold something with a massive spring on a sharp piece of metal, because that's what accidents reports are made for. Just want to make sure I've got that in properly. I've got this horrible feeling on my... If I don't take at least one, if I don't lose at least one finger, I've not been doing this right. Right, so that feels like it should do now if it was a normal derailleur without the clutch on. So let us start to assemble this. Well, this is where it's all backfired, because I should have put this in. So we're going to have to take it all off again now, because this should have gone in before. Oh, no, we might be all right. More. Right, so that's in that position now. When you rotate it all the way over there, it goes to there. So we've got to make sure that when this clutch piece goes on, that goes to the outside, that goes to that side, that goes that way up, and it all goes together like that. But that is at the easy part. So what we want is that when that rotates round, so that's easy. When we rotate it round, it puts the clutch on. Yeah, I think it was out. I think it was out by... So I don't know if somebody's been in here before me, which is always quite possible. So we've got to, this has to go on here and try and fit in there, doesn't it? Is that indexed into there? It's difficult to tell. I'm just taking it off there, it's got to go in. Let's just get this out of the way. Now this is slip round. So that's like that. That's like that. I think we've cracked it. we're in. And is that where it's supposed to be? I don't think it could be anywhere else, to be honest. Feels like it. Right, so... Right, that's going backwards and forwards quite nicely. Turn that round. Right, that's a bit stiffer, but we haven't tightened this up. So we'll just tighten this up till it's all the way in. And again, somebody could have been playing silly fuckers with that as well. Sorry, silly people with that one. Well, that's moved again, that has. Right. That feels okay. Turn it round, that's on. It doesn't move. I think that's about right, apart from that's moving, that's walking out of there. And so is that as well. So let's ease the pressure off. Right, one thing I've forgotten to do, I forgot to put this back in. So let's right, so that should stop that from escaping now. Right, so that's on, that's off. Everything should be where it belongs. Didn't put that in. That's a bit of a pisser. Don't think it's the end of the world though. I think we can get that off. Again, use your squashy bit of your stomach because that's the most sensible thing to do. Mind your fingers. Right. I think we're getting the hang of this now. I think there's an order to put this together and we didn't do it in the right order. So let's drop that off. Let's pop that. So we're missing that dust seal for starters. So let's pop this back on. Clutch was working a little bit too well then, it was actually stopping me from tightening it up. Right, so send that back round again. Can you see this? Right, good. Wang that round. Flipping hard to move. Yeah, I think that was odd. That was indexed round one way. Now it can't slip, so I think somebody's been in here and played, been playing doctors. and it's ended up the wrong way round, which means on was off and off was on, but not quite, it was worse than that. So this should pin everything in place now, he says. I thought we got a spare bit from inside here. Whoops, no! Be a good one to have as a spare, because I'm sure that Lado's going to mangle his bike again at some point. I don't mind it though. I don't mind people who run their bikes into the ground. But it doesn't owe anything. But I might ping him a note to say I've actually got to the bottom of it. But again, it's how much he would trust it. If it was, I'd put it on my bike, or I would use it out of the parts bucket for somebody who couldn't afford a new derailleur, you know, as a stopgap. But on an expensive e-bike, oh yeah, that's beautiful. Yep, brilliant. Job's a good one. Right, so all we've got to do now is stick this lot back together and put it all back in there. So is that bitten? Yep, that's bitten. Right, don't do it all the way up because it does make it an absolute pig if you do. Right, and this one screws in from the opposite side just for fun. It's quite rusty, that. How have I managed to do that? Yeah, so it does need, it could do with another set of jockey wheels on this one, but right, so we've done the best thing in the world, but I think we've fixed that now. So, as I said, it moves that way quite nicely. So, clutch is off at the moment. Let's just wipe the surface oil off that I've managed to spill all over the place. Or your rag restoration. So that's off, so that's moving exactly as it should do. It's nice and loose. Put that in. Locked into place, but it's returning back, so I'm going to call that a win. We fixed it. I wasn't expecting that. I'll tell you one thing now, what I have noticed is it's had a bit of an hard life, this one. It is definitely, I think we've done all right with this to get it looks like it's had a trip in the thing. In the derailleur. Do you know what? I didn't even spot that at the time. I did check the hanger off camera for it, just to see if there was any problems with it, and it looked like it was okay, and it was shifting, sort of. So I think this is slightly bent. Apparently we've been stopped automatically. Right, so I think we've cracked that now. We've strained it out a fair bit. I don't know why I didn't spot that. But I did, like I said, I did check the hanger just in case, because I know it's had a hard life. I mean, you can see he's dropped it, and that might have knocked it into the wheel at some point. But no, that is working. What I suspect's happened now I've seen that is that probably was badly bent, and somebody's taken it all to pieces, got it out, and not put the clutch in the right way round. So that clutch is now on. That clutch is now off. Right. That can go in the spares bin, so we'll class that as a win. Right, so hope you found that useful. I did. I've always been curious how they worked. I'd never thought it'd be something like that, to be honest. It's actually quite straightforward. It's like one of them old-fashioned strap brakes on go-karts and things. So no, quite pleased with that. And I've still got all my fingers as well, which is an added bonus. So anyway, for more tips on how not to lose your fingers while taking bike parts to pieces, but that's it. That's how, if you need to, you strip down, clean out a Shimano Dior long cage derailleur off a mountain bike, M6000, but I suspect the others are pretty similar how they work, and put it back together again. If it was a working and in better nick model, I would have cleaned all that up, put some rust eater on it, greased all inside there, but to be honest, it's not worth it. It's going in the parts bucket. If we drag it out and we're sticking it on something, I will probably give it another fettle, knock this lot out, take it all to pieces, hammer it back down again, get it all a bit more straighter, but I think we've not done a bad job there. Anyway, right, like and subscribe. Job's a good one.